taught me a lot about refining, about really aligning with what it is that I really want, really understanding what works for me and what doesn't. Like yesterday, you know, I went on a drive with my friend to Manly in Sydney, which some people here may know about. And it turned out to be like an hour and a half of a drive. And I was sitting there and I really felt like, look, I've already done this. You know, I know what it feels like to sit in a car. I know what it feels like to drive through a city. I know what it feels like to, you know, drive through a part while you're going to the city where there's a forested area and how calming that can be. I know what it feels like to sit and chat in a car with someone, what it feels like to sit in traffic. Like I know what it feels like to see a coastal town because I'm from, you know, Southeast Queensland. And it really made me realize like I don't need to do that again. It doesn't mean that I won't do it again, but I could feel that I received a lot of value in it of knowing that, you know, it's just ticked off. Like it's just ticked off. You know, I remember Claire and I, you know, we did this process where when I first moved to Veldora, our home, I felt the winter sun on my face and I thought, oh, I just really love the winter sun. It makes me want to live. And Claire said, I've already felt that, ticked off. And I just like, I was kind of like, yeah, that's true. That's true. I also need to tick this off so I can just be like ticked off. And yeah, it's interesting. We spoke about this at the beginning of like really experiencing and, you know, saying like, that's done, that's done, that's done. And I think, you know, experiencing also, it helps you to reorient and reorganize your priorities as well, like full-time job, done, experienced. I never need to do that again. Living in like a volunteer house, done, ticked off. Never need to do that again. Saving money, done, ticked off. You know, probably will save money again, but in theory, never need to do that again. So yeah, there is, you know, when we talk about priorities, it's honesty plays a really big role into it because we often, you know, in sessions, we find sometimes people say, oh, my priority is healing. And it's like, is it really though? Like, is it really? Like it can be, but let's be honest about it. You know, what is your priority at the moment? And if that's confronting, like your priority is getting through and that's confronting, wrap that up so you can move on to something else so you can align with what it is that you want your priority to be.
Mm. Well said. Yeah, I'm aware that Roxana wanted to speak before. Do you still feel like you'd like to say something, Roxana?
The thread of thoughts got lost. So yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we might just briefly go through the foundational questions now. As I said, there was 8, and some people might be familiar with these. Some people might not be. You can write down the answers to the questions. I'm going to go through them. And I want you to use your intuition to try to feel with your internal compass the truest answer. It's best if you can make it just one word or a short phrase. Maybe we could even do a demonstration. You open to that?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to demonstrate because we want this to be a little bit rapid fire. Now, it doesn't always have to be. The questions could open up a whole conversation that goes for an hour. But there's some value also in trying to do this intuitively and as a fast-paced activity. What is present for you at this time? Pain. What do you want to get out of this session? Clarity. What do you want? To mix it up. What's in the way? Other people's attachment. What are you not willing to do? Stop. What do you want to achieve? Space. What is your priority? My direction. What do you have energy for?
Collaboration.
A+.
Thanks.
Great. So that was just a really quick example of how you can move through the questions. You know, you could also use those questions to do it an hour and a half long session where you just slowly move through each one, and they just segue into different topics. So yeah, they're foundational. They're huge questions, and you can reorient your whole life around these questions. But you can also just use them in a moment to come back to, okay, where am I? What's happening? Who's around? And how can I move forward in this moment? And the answer might be that you go and make some lunch. So we can do big things to move forward, like quit a job you've been doing for 5 years, or we can do small things to move forward, like have a lie down and process something. And neither is better or worse than any other. Obviously, bigger decisions can be more loaded and take more of, you know, more support, more time, more thought, more of lots of things. They're big decisions. But actually, our whole lives are made up of many, many choices every day that link together into a story of continuity. And we you know, this is the power of having the resources and establishing the space that you can actually really be in your full choice as much as you can be. If you have fewer things that weigh down on you in terms of your things that are needed from you, your like that are pulling you in different directions with your awareness, then you can actually make that spaciousness for a spiritual path. And not everyone is on a spiritual path. That's okay. That's okay. But if you want that, that is available and that is needed. And I think a spiritual path is a beautiful thing that can change the world. So let's practice a step forward on your own spiritual path now. I'm going to ask the questions, and I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to think of the answer. So you can write it down. Try not to stress out about it. Try to be intuitive about feeling the answer to the question. Don't overthink the answers. This is an exercise. It's not designed to make you stressed. It's an intuitive exercise to increase your ability to connect with your internal compass. Just really come back to yourself and your truth and this present moment. The first question is, what is present with you at this time? What is present with you at this time? The next question is, what do you want to get out of this session? What do you want to get out of this session? Question 3, what do you want? Question 4, what is in the way? What is in the way? Question 5, what are you not willing to do? Question 6. What are you trying to achieve? Question 7. What is your priority? And question 8, what do you have energy for? Okay, let's stop there. So that took 3 minutes and 49 seconds, and it can change your whole life. Maybe just put your hand up if you found that quite a difficult activity to do. And a show of hands for people who found it quite an easy activity to do. Okay. Okay, good. And somewhere in the middle? All right. Yep, somewhere in the middle. So it is a really world-changing, life-changing concept to ask big questions and reorient around them. For example, if we could be honest in our society about what we're trying to achieve, then the world would look quite different. I'll give you an example. In the Sunshine Coast, they want to fit 1 million more people, in that region, in like, or 400,000 more people or something within, 10 or 20 years or something. I don't know the exact statistics, but around this whole country, they're trying to find more ways to fit more people into cities, which is more development of more housing and more roads and more infrastructure, which leads to more traffic and so on and so on. Now, that's neither right nor wrong or good or bad, but if we're honest about what we're trying to achieve, and if we're trying to achieve a quality of life for everyone that involves less traffic, less pollution, more environmental amenity, more ecosystem health, better quality of life, then maybe we might get to this conclusion, which is pretty edgy, that maybe we could try to encourage people across the planet to have fewer children if that's what they want, with all of the disclaimers and, if that's what they want, right? Because then we could bring our population gently down from 8.5 billion to 8 billion. We could bring our population down from 8.5 billion to 8 billion in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. We could actually go down a little bit, which is very, very scary for some people, because they start saying, the economy, who's going to look after the elderly? And they get very freaked out. But personally, my stance is that if we had 8 billion instead of 8.5, that would be a good outcome potentially for the environment and for the people on the planet. And if we had 7 billion, that might even be better, because we could all just breathe a bit easier, and it might create less stress on natural systems and every single person who currently exists in a city and on the planet. Now, obviously, there's lots of ways for humans to organize, and this is a very controversial thing to say. But yeah, when I look around, I can see that fewer people might mean everyone breathes a little bit easier. And it's very controversial, and that's just something that, and a conclusion that I've come to from thinking about what I'm trying to achieve around environmental care and quality of life for people who currently exist on the planet. So, like I said many times, controversial, but it's based on what I'm trying to achieve. And I personally am trying to achieve more environmental care, better ecosystem support, better quality of life for people who are currently alive. Just in all ways, more connection, more needs being met. That's what I'm trying to achieve. And when I think about it, across the systems that we're presented, I can see that there's a solution there that could actually lead to us being able to achieve those things that I'm trying to achieve in a way that is more easy. It's just an easier way to do it. But that's not what everyone's trying to achieve. That's clearly not what most people are trying to achieve, actually. So yeah, controversial, but like world changing. These questions are really world changing. You know, like the question, what are we not willing to do? Like I said, everyone's not willing to do certain things. That's the edge. And that's okay. You know, just being honest about those things is very freeing. Saying, I'm not willing to break up with my partner. I'm not willing to leave my job. I'm not willing to sell my house. Okay, cool. All good. There is no problem. There's actually no problem with that. And it's just a very, very interesting question to bring us to the realities of what we're committed to, what we want to let go of, and where the edge is, and where we say, no, I'm not willing to be energetically attacked. You know, I'm not willing to, stagnate. I'm not willing to, whatever it might be, put my connection with my sister above my connection with a person that I might meet tomorrow. Okay, does anyone want to comment on the activity or share anything that came up for them during that?
Yeah, I'd love to share. I think a thing that I at first struggled with when I was sort of feeling into the answers here was just how open they were, which was very interesting for me, because I think I was wanting like specific, clear details, and that really aligns with my response to what is present for you at this time, which was like figuring out direction. I was like, I want an answer. I want the clarity. I want XYZ. And I couldn't see the ways in which all of them were connected, all of the answers were connected, until now looking back at it and really seeing, oh, right now, perhaps there is not value in me having the clear sense of direction. So what kind of growth and learning is available with what is actually happening right here, right now in response to this. So it was a very interesting sort of like, process.
Do you want to just quickly share your answers? Is that interesting?
So what is present for you at this time? Figuring out direction. What do you want? Home. What do you want to get out of this session? Support. What's in the way? Distraction. What are you not willing to do? Live a lie. What do you want to achieve? Freedom. What is your priority? I don't know right now. What do I have energy for? Appreciating beauty and being as present as possible.
Great, thank you. That's a great example to everyone. You see that they're simple, but they're also very profound answers. Timothy, did you want to go next?
Oh, just quickly to share, I just found it interesting moments of like, you know, where it just feels tapped in and it's coming from my intuition, and then other moments where my brain tries to jump in and like figure out the answer. And that just sharing that experience in when I was answering the questions.
Yeah, it's fascinating, this idea of bypassing the conscious self and just going to some place which is more intuitive than just this monkey mind. Very interesting possibility for us all. Do you want to share your answers, Timothy?
Yeah, I can. So what is present for me, if I just check in, it was just tiredness and exhaustion. Even though I wanted, you know, maybe a little bit more of other things. What do you want out of this session? Well, to feel better and clarity and moving forward to feel better. And then what do you want? I wrote financial abundance, so I have space to rest and having all my needs met. And also I just felt this wanting of intimacy and belonging. And then what's in the way, you know, my mind started thinking, but then what's in the way is choice for me, which is interesting, something that I will go away and reflect on deeper. And then what are you not willing to do? Again, my mind was like, and then I was just like, rest. Actually, I'm not willing to rest, even though I want relief from exhaustion. So that's also another thing that I'm going to go away and ponder and reflect on. And then what do you want to achieve to feel optimal, to expand, and to build a home? What is your priority to build a home, strong foundations? And what do you have energy for? My creativity, theater, learning, and teaching.
Excellent. Thank you. That's great. So there's no right answer to the questions, but there is like the truest answer that rings true. And this idea of having an internal compass is something that I'm quite how do I finish that sentence? That I'm developing. This idea of having an internal compass is something that I'm developing, because many people over years have asked me about muscle indicator testing, and I can see that that's not, you know, accessible for everyone. But the internal compass is about really listening to, what's in here that's saying this is the truest answer at this time. So there's no right answer, but there is a true answer that rings true, and that's what we're trying to feel. So what's the answer that's most true in this moment? And you can do the same exercise 10 minutes later with completely different answers, which might seem a bit discombobulating, but you know, when we're allowing a lot of movement, things can shift in and out of our awareness, and that's great. Something might be really present with you, a situation with your colleague. The next day you think, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've moved on. And that's the power of transitioning. I've talked about this quite a lot, is just being able to quickly move through processes, ideas, situations, challenges, and just moving through to the next thing. Would anyone else like to share?
There you go. Oh, sorry. Oh, I feel excited to share, actually, but I didn't want to take up too much space. I think I started yawning through this class, and then my intuition, my impulse was to like not do that, because I think, at least I don't know if it's different in other cultures, but it's like yawning seems like you're bored or you're not interested or something. And then I was like, oh no, we're energy healing. So that's like, you know, great. And then I've also been noticing I'm tearing as well. Like I'm not sad or anything, but I seem to be like, I'm noticing I start kind of tearing up a lot recently. And I think something that I'm hoping to take from this session is like listening to my inner compass more, or listening to my intuition, because I think that one of the points was about like having a deep sense of yourself. And I think that I've kind of been so a lot of my sense of self is definitely woven with other people's sense of self, or what other people are prioritizing or thinking are important. And maybe I've also been socialized to think that having a strong opinion, or like, oh, I like olives or whatever, is kind of like egotistical or maybe self-centered. So kind of where's that middle path? And I think I would be curious to hear insights from you all in terms of helping to cultivate that intuition, or cultivating that inner voice, and having greater clarity on what I like or don't like, or what I feel like called to do, or how I can kind of sharpen my answers to these questions. I think that would be really powerful for me. So thank you.
Well said. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we're taught that having a strong preference is not allowed, it's not okay, it's not nice, it's not, you know, open-minded. But actually knowing what our preferences are is a really important part of having our needs met, which is a really important part of healing. And it's okay to prefer things. Okay, does anyone else want to share? We've just got a couple of minutes left, so we're pretty much out of time now. Thank you so much, everyone, for your ongoing participation. yeah, I'd like to get just a little bit, I suppose, just a little bit of feedback very quickly. We've just got a couple of minutes. Does anyone want to share how the course is going? We've done 4 out of 6 sessions now. Does anyone have any comments about where it's at, how it's worked for them, and the pace and things like that?
I'll jump in. Yeah, as I expressed before, like it feels really in alignment with where I'm at with everything, and in terms of the pace, I miss Saturday, but I feel that the pace has been a good sense of pace for me, a good sense of structure, in how kind of things, everything's interconnected, but how it's kind of weaving from one to the next and building in that sense, or establishing in it, so that it feels good for me. So thank you.
That's good to know. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I did. Did I miss a session on Saturday? There was a third session. Okay, that I'm like, what has it been? 2 weeks? I'm freaking out. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I really found today especially powerful. I'm not sure what it was, whether it was the content, but I think things are really landing for me today, and especially like starting talking about nonviolent communication and then like theory of change. Really, it's really helpful for me to hear about like just like this as like a philosophy of guidance, theory of change, kind of like structuring things in more of like, this is what we're doing and why. And yeah, I found that really helpful starting with that, because then I was like, oh yeah, sick. Like I just felt really locked in and excited with kind of the power of that. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks for expressing that. Yeah, that also lights me up, because I want to have a body that works in as well, but I also want to have a planet that works in as well. And they're actually not unrelated. Great. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. We've got 2 more sessions. So we'll be back here in 2 days' time for the next session. I honor you all. You're very brave journeying souls on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we do a session?